Hello and welcome to Property Mastermind podcast with Hilary Saxton and Bob Anderson, episode 107 this week, debunking the time excuse in property development. So, well, we often hear, and we do it ourselves, I don't have time for that right now. So we're going to look at why you don't have time, why you use the word time, and what you can do about it. Great episode. You can apply this to property development and pretty much anything else that you're not doing and you think you're too busy for. So let's jump on into episode 107. Hey Bob, episode 107. Debunking the time excuse for property development. But as I said, we're going to be thinking about you exercising and going to the gym on this one as well.
Why am I being singled out?
Well, and we could talk about me, whatever I'm avoiding as well.
Okay.
Doing the final tweaks to my website.
Sounds like a toughie.
Oh, crikey. And full disclosure, we actually recorded these back to back. So we haven't been fishing yet, which we were going to talk about.
We were, but maybe next one.
Because
talk about those.
My birthday would have, when this comes out, has been, but technically right now it hasn't.
You might still be celebrating that.
Oh, that would be nice. That'd be nice. Are you taking me on a secret holiday, Bob?
Shh.
Okay. Well, anyway, what's your recommendation for the week, Bob?
My recommendation is get out and smell the flowers.
Really? What do you mean by that?
You know the saying.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't think I've been doing enough flower smelling lately, you know, and just getting out. Today I was driving back to the office, beautiful day, looking across at the sea, at the ocean, sun's out, and I'm on my way back to do some podcasts now. But, and I thought, I just feel like pulling up here and just wandering around for like 20 or 30 minutes, but I didn't.
Oh, so I thought you were going to say you did.
I didn't. And sure enough, you know, you come back and you got 20 emails. The next thing, like, it's all forgotten. So, yeah, that's my recommendation. Make the time. Oh, that's what we're talking about, time.
Ooh.
Here we go. I didn't realise how appropriate it was
you go.
to smell the flowers. So just the simple things, just enjoy life. It could be just the fresh air, the sunshine, just switching off and listening to the rolling surf coming in. That's a good idea.
I thought you were going to say listen to the Rolling Stones.
Well, you could do that too.
You could do that. Okay, well, thank you for your recommendation. No, I wasn't expecting that one. Okay, so we are then talking about what holds people back from doing property development or anything, and I think you could apply this to a few areas if you're already property developing and happy with your progress. But if you're not and you're using the time excuse, well, that's what we're going to be talking about. So let's just talk about the three things that comes under time, really.
Yep.
There are three.
Okay.
They are priorities. We don't prioritise it. We're going to open this right up. Fear and lack of knowledge.
Oh, okay. I can see that.
Yep, that is it. So sometimes it's just easier to say, I don't have time.
Yeah, priorities, fear and lack of knowledge.
Yeah,
okay.
and we don't have time because we add other things in, so it means we get to avoid it. I'm the queen at that. I load my day up. I have to see what I'm avoiding.
Yeah. And sometimes when that happens, you don't like finish a task. Not talking about you specifically, but
seriously, you're talking about me.
But that's the downside of taking on so much and then you like get a whole bunch of things like 80-90% done, and then you've got to go back and tail them all off.
So, Bob, I think that you're a really good person to talk to about this because you've achieved so much in property development and developed so many.
I've had the time to do it.
Yeah. But how did you do it? You had 3 kids, wife, and not just
a couple of dogs.
Dogs. How many horses did you have?
Oh, probably 3 or 4 at any time. Yeah.
But you did that, and your children were really busy children that you homeschooled them to start with.
Yep.
And you also, they were involved in, they were motorbike riding, they were
horse riding,
and
golf and all that sort of stuff.
They were high achieving sports people.
Yeah.
The boys were.
Soccer, yeah.
And then your daughter just a crazy horse rider.
She's a crazy horse rider. They're crazy at everything. The boys were, soccer in particular.
So how did you find the time, Bob, or at the time? I'm sorry to use that word twice. Did you find you used time as an avoidance for something else? Maybe did you use property development as your excuse to not do something else, or What's your strategy around being so organised?
It's almost the opposite. I use property development as a way of giving me more time. Because I'd had jobs, I worked for some big development companies as well, and they own you really. Like you start, but not long after the sun rises, and you're going home at night. And I used to travel a lot to Canberra. I worked for the biggest developer in Canberra, even though I was in Queensland. We had projects in Queensland. When I'd go down there, the days would finish at 8 or 9 o'clock at night, And so moving away from that sort of corporate life into property development, where it's not a huge consumer of time to do a development because you've got all these people, these consultants, architects, engineers, builders who are putting in that time, and you're really coordinating them. And that was a big game changer for me from going out from big companies and internally managing stuff and responsibilities, staff under me, a couple of bosses probably nationally over me, to running my own show.
And the Bob Anderson show. and that gave me the time, because you got the flexibility, because
you have meetings, but you can organise when you do the meetings. You can, if you've got things you want to do personally, you can get up early. You can do them. You can make time. Like I used to go to all my kids. Like my daughters used to play t-ball on a Thursday or whatever. I'd be there every Thursday. My sons would play soccer on a Wednesday or whatever afternoon. I'd be there. It'd be about 8 or 9 mums and one guy. That was me. I'm sure they thought I was unemployed, because I'd be there all the time. I'd be at all the swimming carnivals and everything, and people probably thought, poor Bob mustn't have a job, he's always here,
Do you know what, though? I think in this day and age, because we've got so much time flexibility and people working from home, a lot more dads do that now. But in your time, my time, definitely way less.
No,
yeah.
You're either locked into a 5-day-a-week job, and often if it's a management position, long hours, or you're unemployed, one or the other.
Yeah.
Or third alternative is you're a property developer where you make your own time.
Yeah, so how did you find the time to... Was it just I quit my job in corporate and I became a property developer? How did you find that time? And in relation to people in our communities that want to do property development but believe they don't have time.
Well, even when I was working in the large development companies, I also did. I always had a project on the go as well,
right?
And just about everybody in those companies does anyway. They do at least one of their own while they're in that sort of a job. But it is an easy thing to say, I don't have the time.
Oh, I'm the classic.
It's the easiest thing to say, and I mean, even now, I got to be careful I don't fall into that trap, and so I think you have to be like diligent. You can train yourself, but you can also regress a bit. Yeah, it's a bit like posture.
Oh gosh, and now we're both sitting up straight.
Oh, here we are. Just reminded myself. I start off the day in the morning on nice, shoulders back, straight back. Good posture, neck straight, and like an hour into it, I'm sinking down.
You're like Mr. Burns.
My shoulders are dropped. I'm leaning forward, looking at the computer. My posture's terrible. So it's a bit like that. You can fall into habits.
It's a self-awareness thing. Being aware that you say it. And I think not just being aware that you say it, being prepared and choosing to do something about that.
It can become a self-fulfilling prophecy if you keep convincing yourself that you don't have the time and doing nothing about changing it. It's an excuse, not a reason at that point.
Yeah. So if you are using that, I'm going to give you some strategies.
Give me some.
Prioritising, number 1.
Oh, big thing.
You have to focus on what really matters. We get to work and we start listing the stuff we want to do, and then we all go and do the easy stuff.
Yeah, and that's human nature.
You sit at your desk or whatever your work environment is. When I first sat down in the office today, I said, what's going to make me feel really satisfied at the end of today if I get done? Like, what is that thing I really must tick off? That was what I said out loud this morning. I don't just to myself.
The
what would be that thing?
Non-compromise things.
Yeah, because of my day and potential appointments, interruptions, whatever. I had a chair arrive. I needed to go and unpack that, put it in the lounge, put a new throw over it, do all that sort of stuff. Had a couple of clients to talk to, wrote out a few podcast ideas. And then I'm like, cracky, I still haven't done that thing I want to do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've got to be conscious of that even now, even after all these years of not doing the easy things first.
So don't be doing the easy things first.
No, but yeah, you do. You sort of fall into that.
The other thing for time is delegation. What do you not need to be doing that somebody else could be doing?
That was the thing that changed my whole business life a long time ago, because I wasn't naturally a delegator. I was the sort of person that had to do everything themselves because nobody can do it as good as me. By the time I train somebody, I may as well do it. All those things you tell yourself.
Gosh, yes.
Such lies.
Such lies.
And then you find people that actually can do a lot of tasks better than you do, and it becomes so being able to let go.
To find extra time. And that could mean even in your personal life, you can't obviously get somebody else to go to the gym for you, but you could.
Do you think so?
No.
Okay.
You could get somebody. You could, the meals that arrive on your doorstep. Yeah. You could choose to do that for a few days a week. That gives you that time back. You could buy groceries online, and that means somebody else is selecting and delivering them to you. There are all sorts of ways of delegating, and that's a way of delegating that you don't even consider, and they are tasks that are at home that buy you back some extra time. Another one is time blocking, and even though I've preached this for many years, I've worked in self-development all of my life in some way, but it was only about 6 years ago I was struggling to do something, and Bob said, Hilary, chunk it into the 25 minutes. I think you might have said 20 or 20. I think you did say 25. And so I did. 25. I just put a timer on my iPhone and just did 25 minutes. When the timer went off, I had a break. Oh, my gosh, that makes such a difference.
Yeah, you can't do that hourly.
No, an hour's too long. I think
25 is perfect.
Yeah, and you can have a break for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes.
Or even 5. There you go. That makes up your half.
And in between, you can go online shopping after that 25 minutes.
It's a very efficient 25 minutes.
Yes, it's very efficient. And then the last one is just be educated in what you're doing. And yes, we sell education, and we expect that if you're going to do property development, you do have some form of education. You cannot Google it. But when you know what you're doing, you are more likely to take the steps of what you need to do. Especially if it's challenging and it's a little bit difficult.
And it can be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, some conversations can be difficult. Got to sack the architect or whatever it is.
Yeah. So you need to overcome the fear by obtaining knowledge, and that's the fear will be due to lack of knowledge, really, because you might think you're worried about what people will say or whatever that is, but when you are confident and competent, when you're competent, that makes you confident. We talked about this another time, didn't we? Recently, and then you won't have that fear anymore. It'll be lessened, and then those small steps you take every day will help you get better at the amount of time that you have available. So, Bob, I've got a couple of...
It's like one of those spirals you talk about in your book. What do you call those?
Positive result spirals?
That's the ones.
In my book, which by the time this podcast comes out, I'm thinking will be out. If you would like a copy of 3 Wines In, jump on hilarysaxton.com and get yourself a copy.
Yeah, take it home at night and have 3 wines while you read it.
Yeah, it does cover. It's about having self-confidence to do things. But so it'll be off my website, hilarysaxton.com.
Okay.
Yeah, should be out. But I was expecting it Tuesday, but anyway. It's Thursday. It's not here. I can't control their time.
The publisher's time management wasn't great.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. So I want you to think about a few things and then see if you are using time to not achieve something you want to achieve, be that property development, be that going to the gym, be that painting your house, whatever, be that whatever that is. I'm going to ask you some questions and I want you to think about the answer and see if it really is time, that you don't have time, or what it is. So if you could magically clear your schedule for 1 week, what would you use that time, would you use that time to do a property development? Would you?
Or at least get set.
And if you don't, use that time for property development. What that means it's not a priority to you.
It's not a big enough priority.
Yeah. So what about that?
It's a desire. It's maybe, but like it's got to be more than that.
I talk to people every day that have the desire for property development. And that's something about our mentoring students. They are very passionate. That's why it's the application process. We only work with people who are passionate and committed because...
It would kill us otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. But you've got to be passionate. You've got to be able to find the time. You've got to be teachable. You've got to be coachable. There's all those things that come into it.
Yeah.
Okay, what about the next thought?
Okay, I've got your thoughts here on paper. What specific steps could you take to rearrange or better manage your time? What specific steps could you do to do that so that you can focus on property development? Ooh.
I suppose if we were to ask you that, Bob, what specific steps could you take to rearrange, to manage your time so you went to the gym? What would you do?
I need to get into a better routine.
So is it organise a routine?
Yep. Lock out the time.
Okay, so that could be the answer for somebody listening to this podcast. Get into a routine where you lock out, e.g. block out time that you do property development, research, education, whatever.
Yep.
There you go.
But not, do it. Not just block out the time, but I mean that should be a catalyst for it.
Well, what about this one? What activities are you spending your time on that you could be spending on property development? I know the answer to this one, for me. For me, not actually going through and finally sorting some stuff I have to do.
Yeah.
It's probably Netflix.
What about it?
I might spend a little bit of time. I could do that instead of watching Netflix.
You got to also unwind.
Yeah. I do spend a lot of time in the kitchen.
You do, and you're an active relaxer. For those that don't know what an active relaxer is.
It's me.
And I never knew for most of my life. Because I'm a relaxing relaxer. I mean, I can just, if I want to relax, I can just veg out,
Yeah, I can't do that.
Whereas you relax by doing at least two things at a time.
Yeah. I relax by being in the kitchen and cooking or just doing stuff.
Yeah, but you're not just doing that, because while you're doing that, you're talking, or you might have, a podcast even running, or anything could be on, like two or three things at a time.
That's an active relaxer.
I'm capable of doing zero things at a time if
you want to do, yeah. And both of those ways are okay.
They're all good.
Yeah, but what thing I could watch less Netflix and to achieve, when you've got to tick off those things that you're not doing. So for people who say to me, I don't have time, are you watching television at night is my question, or are you on your phone scrolling through social media?
That's a big one these days.
Oh, yes.
How many, people get, I don't know if they get shocked, but sometimes to find out how many hours you're actually on social media in a week, when they thing reports back to you.
Ooh.
You spend 7 hours on Facebook this week or something.
I think I'd turn that reporting off.
What can you do in 7 hours?
Well, crikey, yeah.
Probably find a project that'll make you $500,000.
Yeah, what if you did?
Or at least kickstart, or make some contacts within that period of time, that 7 hours that you're on Facebook this week. Make contacts that then could lead on to a project that would lead on to make you, $200,000, $300,000, $500,000.
When a new mentoring student comes on, I usually spend the first few weeks just organising them around that, and it is around creating new habits, Bob, because we have a habit of doing the same thing over and over. Humans very quickly have a habit. So if we go home at the end of the day and I stand in the kitchen, I pour myself a glass of wine, I start chopping away at vegetables, that is my habit. That is my habit.
Yeah. And
my morning routine habit, it used to be a lot better than it is. I do the same brain stuff, but my regular getting up time. But I'm okay to get up at 5 a.m. That's no problem. I kind of like that. That's something I do enjoy doing, having that morning time to myself. But for people wanting to do property development that say they have no time and they're getting up at 6 a.m., could you get up at 5?
Yeah.
It's not forever.
Would it kill you?
I remember last year before, working with a couple, Stefan and Debbie, and they had a time issue.
Yep.
And it was just around finding the time and as parents feeling guilty when we're not spending time with our children. And I just said, and when you find your site, it's done.
Yeah.
The rest of the time, there's so much less work once you've found a site. Hey.
Well, you can put a lot of hours in finding the site, but like if you put in 1 hour a week to look for a site, it's going to take you a lot of weeks probably. I mean, you can be lucky, but if you put in 4 hours a week, well, it's going to happen 4 times faster.
Yeah, and once you've got a site, then the workload becomes...
It becomes prescriptual. Oh, no, what is it? Yeah, whatever the word is.
What's the word, Bob?
I can't remember.
Okay. I don't even know where you were going with
I made
that.
it up.
Oh, okay.
Yep, it's a good word.
But we put
prescriptive, I think.
Prescriptive.
Not prescriptual.
Put something in place where they just had to have somebody mind their child, which they didn't want to do. But I said it's going to be one Saturday or maybe 2 Saturdays because they had to do a particular stuff. And then it was done. Yep. And sometimes we've got to get uncomfortable to get comfortable.
Yep.
And we all live in a bit of guilt. We could have done something better, coulda, woulda, shoulda. But at the end of the day, if you want to do property development, what are you prepared to give up to get to where you want to go? Would you say that?
Yeah.
What would you give up to get to the gym? Ooh. This sounds like I'm trying to push Bob to go to the gym. No, we moved and we both were in routines and we both found it difficult to change.
Well, we changed,
location.
We changed location, office location, home location, and it sort of
throws you out.
Threw the routine around a bit. Yeah. Yeah, I'm still getting back into it. I
only rejoined back a week ago, so...
Yeah. No, that's true, because I'm on a try new gym, and I did the 7-day free trial, I think 7 days ago. I haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you didn't even go to that?
I didn't get there, no. Free trial, I didn't get there. But anyway, hopefully I'll go and have a check out tomorrow. I'm more interested in looking at it than I am in 7-day free trial. I mean, if I'd like it, I'll pay for it. So, yeah. But that just shows you how terrible I've been in the last week.
Yeah, exactly. See, we're all human.
But see, if it was come and have a free beer, like instead of like you come and have a 7-day free trial at our gym, and if you like it, join. That was the deal. So I took the 7-day free trial online. Haven't gone to the gym yet. But if somebody said to me, like one of the businesses around here, having a couple of beers after work, would I find time?
That's interesting though, because that's finite. That is, this is available right now, and if you look at it is a one thing.
If I don't get, then I don't get the free beer.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. But if you can go to the gym anytime, and because it's anytime, it doesn't become a priority.
Yeah, because it can be pushed around and moved.
Yeah.
and does, and then
that's property development.
Yep.
Yeah. You would be surprised at how many people say, I wished I started this, 5 years ago when I first thought about it. Yeah. I wished. We hear the I wish conversation so much.
Got a lot of I wish combos.
Yeah. So if you are thinking about it and time's an issue, maybe look at whether it's priority, fear or knowledge that's holding you back. And then ask yourself the questions that we've gone through. I suppose the other thing, a really good question to ask yourself is, how would property development change your life?
Oh, well, that should be a motivator.
Yeah, how could list all the things of how your life will change if you do property development?
Yeah, well, for quite a few people, they want to transition out of their day job. It's like property development, get it going, get it to a point where they can transition out. So what would life look like then? You might be going from a 50-hour week to a 15-hour week doing 2 projects.
You might be going from $130,000 a year to $500,000 profit, as well as your $130,000 a year.
Yeah, if you do a project while you're still at work and then transition out of that.
After that, yeah.
Yeah. So what would that look like? What would it look like to earn 3 times as much money as you earn now, but put in less hours? What would that life be like? What would it look like? Would you spend more time with your partner, with your kids? Would you travel more? What would you do? Because you've got the money and the time. That's what lifestyle is.
Yeah.
To me, if you've got plenty of money and spare time, then you've got to have a good lifestyle, because that's it.
And what we're really alluding to is, this whole podcast is, if you are using time as an excuse for anything, then look at your reasons why. Is it?
Yeah.
You're just not
self-analysis.
Ask yourself the question. It doesn't affect us how you do this, but this could be a life-changing podcast for you today. So
yeah.
But remember, time waits for nobody, and there are only, what do you say at the beginning of your workshops? People have. You said something about time or money.
Yeah. I might do I relate income to hours or something? And okay,
lack of time, lack of money. That's why people do property development mostly. That's probably the two of the major reasons why they want time back and they want to earn more money. But this kind of wasn't along the lines of getting time back. It's about why you're not allocating the time to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's not the reason anymore. It becomes the excuse.
Yeah. And excuses. That's just another word for an excuse. You just self-sabotage, put it off for whatever that reason. Anyway, Bob, I think we've unpacked people using...
Sure have. That tested my head.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd rather talk strictly property development, then I can sort of like...
Tested your head.
I can talk while I'm asleep about property development, but when you get onto a lot of these things that you're an expert on, I have to start thinking.
But it really just points that we all have the same stuff going on. Yeah. And some people get better at times, some people choose to make a difference in their life. You've just got to make your own decisions, but be aware of how you're behaving. If you want to do property development, well, then do property development. If you're a female wanting to gain confidence, remember to check out my book, 3 Wines In. It's hopefully out. I'm so excited. It is the most... And that took 4.5 years to write. And why did it take time? Fear of being judged, because I've written a book and people might judge me for it. You might read it and say you don't like it. How will I feel? I read it and pretty much go, oh my God, I can't believe I wrote this. It's pretty good, I reckon.
It's a good book.
For a whole book by myself.
Title says it all.
Even my 3 Wines In, How to Have Self-Confidence Today to Achieve the Things You Want Without the Hangover Tomorrow, which means have that confidence that you gain when you have a couple of drinks, but without having the couple of drinks. Anyway, enough about me. Check out hilarysaxon.com for that one. It will be cool, and I would love for some of you people to read it. Maybe dads buy it for your wives and daughters. But anyway, we hope that if property development is on your radar and you're using time as an excuse, that we've given you something to think about today. Hey, Bob?
Yeah. Do some self-analysis and don't use that as an excuse.
All right, we would love your feedback. Jump onto Apple Podcasts, send us an email, write us something nice on YouTube. We will be in touch. Bye for now.
See ya.